Hey guys, I'm Cameron and welcome back to my channel where we sip tea and also spill the tea as I talk about some of my favorite reads. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that make me happy and that always bring a smile to my face. So we all have those moments where the day is just not going in our favor, and you know what? Sometimes we need a pick-me-up. And my type of pick-me-up just comes in the form of a book. So if you are the same way as I am, then this video is going to be perfect for you. And without further ado, let's get into this video. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is called Wall Banger by Alice Clayton. So this book, guys, this book made me so happy. Like, I can't even explain the type of feelings that it gave me whenever I was reading this. So right before I picked this book up, I was just, I was in the midst of the coronavirus epidemic, and I was not seeing that many people besides my family, and so I was just feeling a bit lonely, and it's okay to feel lonely because the circumstances that we were under were very unusual, and it was just so weird to not be around a whole lot of people because I'm somebody who, I was attending college, I was around people all the time, and to have that taken away from me so abruptly, it was just such a strange experience, and I was going through such a bummer. And whenever I picked this book up, it just completely turned my day around. It made me feel like I was just getting a hug. Like, that's how that book made me feel. Like, I can't explain it. It just gave me the warm and the fuzzies. Now let me just tell you what this book is about really quickly, and I can get more into what it is that just made me so happy and that just made my mood turn around for the better. So this book follows a girl who is in her mid to late 20s, and she just got this new apartment, and whenever she is living there, she loves everything about it, but whenever she goes to sleep, she starts to get woken up by this huge banging against her wall behind her headboard. And at first she's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Is somebody breaking into my house? Is there an earthquake? Do we have earthquakes here? And she comes to find out that it is actually her new roommate, who happens to be a very, very sexy male bachelor, and he happens to be able to have his way with the ladies, and he is just a very big ladies man, and he likes to bring his women to his apartment almost every single night. And so she tries to accept this and to get over it and to try to sleep through his flings and through his sexual encounters, but it just gets to the point, like after like a week or two of living there, she is not getting any sleep. She's fed up with this, so she gets up and she goes and she knocks on that guy's door, and he answers it, and she just blows up in his face, and she tells him that he needs to stop doing this, that he is disturbing her sleep, she has work in the morning, and he needs to be more neighborly and not have such loud and crazy flings in his apartment. And so, of course, this guy doesn't take this too fondly, and it's just so funny because from here on out, they keep on running into each other in the apartment building, and they end up having mutual friends, and so they end up having like what started out as a enemies type of relationship. It slowly turns into a friendship, and from there it turns into a relationship. And guys, I just have to say, what I really, really loved about this was that our main two characters were so hilarious. The witty exchanges that they had with one another was just off the charts. There was just such a magnetic energy between the two, and I just can't explain the banter. Like, the banter was so funny. And then another thing that I absolutely adored were all of the friends that both of them, both the main girl and the main guy, had. So the guy had his own guy friends and the girl had her own girlfriends. And guys, like, I'm not even kidding. Whenever I was reading that book, I felt like the author just had such a beautiful way of writing these friendships that it felt like you were there with them in those moments, that you were sharing in those moments. And I just have to share this little story of mine, this personal story. While I was reading this book, I was actually listening to it on an audiobook. Whenever I was listening to this book, I was actually walking my dog around the neighborhood, and there was just one moment where I was listening to the banter between the main girl and her friends, and it was just so funny that I started breaking out laughing. And at that same moment, I happened to look up, and right across the street from me, there was this guy coming out of his house. And I have to tell you, like, besides for my dog, like, I was completely by myself, and he probably thought I was a freaking crazy person because I was just laughing so much, like giggling and just roaring with laughter. And you would think I was talking to somebody or having a conversation with someone. Like, that's how the type of feelings and the vibes that I was giving out. And that guy just gave me, like, we happened to lock eyes from across the street, and you know, we just like shared a moment where like I knew he was thinking that I must be absolutely insane and then I should be in the loony bin instead of walking around the neighborhood. But yeah, guys, I just have to say, if you want a book that has amazing friendships, if you want a book that has an amazing enemies to lovers slash a slow burn romance, then definitely check this book out. And guys, if you are somebody who you like to go on Netflix and you like to watch romantic comedies like To All the Boys I've Loved Before and The Kissing Booth, then guys, this book is just like that, but better. So definitely please pick that book up. If you are feeling sad, if you are feeling lonely, read that, because I have to tell you that this book, it made me so happy. And if you are going through that, if you are feeling lonely, then pick it up. Like, please, I swear to you, it will make you feel so much better. It is like therapy in a book, and it's so much cheaper than any therapy would ever be. So pick it up. Do it for me, okay? All right? Okay, let's get on to the next book in this list. Okay. So the next book that I'm going to be bringing to you is called A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bouquet. This book follows a girl on the run because apparently her mother just happens to be like really crazy and really just off her rocker, and she's super possessive of her daughter. And so our girl, she just wants to get out of that situation, so she runs off and she actually joins a traveling circus. And it's here that she makes a living off of being a fortune teller, and she ends up reading this mysterious man's fortune. And while she is doing this, she ends up finding out that this guy is actually the son of a warlord, and he helped to conquer the land that she's currently inhabiting and that the traveling circus is stopped at. And this guy, he ends up finding out that she actually has some more magic than what she is saying. So him and his merry men of soldiers, they end up kidnapping her and trying to drag her back to where his castle is located so that they can use her to help further their claim on the land and to help keep it protected. And guys, I just have to say, this book was so fun. What really made me smile, what really just made my day so much brighter was the enemies to lovers and the relationship that was going on between our main girl and the guy. So obviously he kidnapped her, so she's not too excited and having any warm and fuzzies with this man. She is actually really annoyed with him and she wants to get out of this situation as soon as possible. So whenever she is not verbally sparring with this man, she is trying to get the heck out of Dodge. And guys, her escape attempts in this book series is so funny because she's just somebody she's so smart, and she always finds the most mischievous ways to outwit and to outsmart this man and his gang of merry men. And it's just so funny to see that happen because every time they never expect her to outwit them and to outsmart them and to outmaneuver them, but every single time she does. And it's just hilarious to see that, and it just totally gives, you know, those strong female empowerment whenever you see her constantly outwitting these guys and beating them at their own game. And I just have to say, I just love all of the friendships in this book. I love all of the verbal exchanges that go on here. It is just so much fun, and I would suggest this to anybody that loves a good enemies to lovers. And if you like some smutty scenes, some very, very steamy scenes, then check this book out, because the freaking smutty scenes in this book is freaking steamier than a newly made cup of freaking coffee, okay? It was hot. And yeah, guys, if you want a sassy heroine, if you want a very dominant male, and if you like a girl that can totally take care of herself, then check this book out. It is so amazing, and yeah, just read it. It will make you so happy, guys, okay? So that's A Promise of Fire by Amanda Bouquet. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is a YA book, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. That is called Born at Midnight by C.C. Hunter. So as you can tell, like, this book is literally like falling to pieces. The pages are browning. I have had this book for so long. This is my oldest book that I possess. I've had this for over 12 years, 13 years, and I absolutely love this book to pieces. Obviously, it is in shambles, it is in pieces, but that is just how much I love it. That is how many times that I've reread this book, and I just have such a strong sense of nostalgia when I talk about this book. It is just so amazing. So let me explain to you what this book is about and why it makes me so happy and why it would make you happy. So guys, this book reminds me so much of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and it's in the way that while Percy Jackson went to this camp for demigods and goddesses, the girl in this story ends up going to a camp for paranormal creatures and paranormal denizens. So this girl ends up going to the summer camp, and she actually does not know that she is part of the paranormal and supernatural community until she arrives at this camp, and the camp counselor ends up giving a show and having a boy start to shapeshift in front of everyone, and our girl here literally freaks out. She is like, what the heck is going on? I thought I was going to a regular summer camp, not a summer camp of supernatural freaking creatures. She was not expecting this at all, and she is, how shall I put it, just completely off her rocker when she is watching this. She does not know how to react. And anyways, guys, soon enough, she ends up just accepting that, yeah, okay, she is part of this community. There happens to be supernatural creatures in the world, and she's just now finding out about it. And guys, what I loved about this was that she ends up rooming with these two other paranormal supernatural women. One of the girls is a witch and the other girl is a vampire, and guys, I just love the friendship between these three characters. It is probably one of my favorite friendships that I've ever read. It is so well done, and throughout the whole series, I think there's like 5 books in the series, their friendship just grows so much stronger with time, and it is just so amazing to watch that. And like with the book from Wallbanger, it felt like I wasn't just reading what was happening. It felt like I was there with them, sharing in with their laughs and with their midnight talks, and I just absolutely loved all 3 of those girls, and they are what made this book just so amazing, and it just made me so happy being able to read the girl power and the bonds that they all shared with each other. It was so amazing. And then obviously, to sweeten this book up a bit and to make it even more addictive, there's actually a love triangle going on with this girl and a guy who is a werewolf and another guy who is a fairy. And this book was just, it was written around the same time that Twilight was all the rage. So like, you know, they were doing, all the authors were trying to pick up on the love triangle trope because they knew that everybody was eating that crap up. And I feel like this author did such an amazing job at making a love triangle because you never knew who our main girl was going to end up with. You were always on the edge of your seat guessing who she was going to be with, and it was just crazy to watch that. It really stressed me out so much because there was one specific man, I'm not going to say who it is, who I was rooting for because I don't want to give anything away, but there was one guy who I was always rooting for, who I wanted them to get together so freaking bad, and I was always stressed out and just put through the ringer whenever she would end up choosing the other guy and being with the other guy. It annoyed me so much. But that is just how much that this author made you root for those characters. She made you just love and connect with every single character that she wrote. And I especially loved our main female character. Guys, if you just want a book that gives you those campy type of vibes, that just feels like a whole adventure and just has an amazing romance and amazing friendships, then definitely check this book out. It is so amazing, and the whole supernatural element is so freaking superb, and I just freaking love this book so much. You need to check it out because I swear you will love it too. The next book I'm going to be talking about is a book that I have talked about so many times. If you watch any of my videos, you have seen me go on and on and on about this, but I love it and I'm going to talk about it again because it made me so freaking happy when I read it, okay? And that is called Rejected by Jamin Eve. So I just read this book like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and I have been talking about this book non-freaking stop ever since I read it. And just to give you a quick summary of what this book's about, this follows a girl who is a shifter, who is a wolf shifter, and her mom, they're basically the outcasts in this community. The werewolves don't really like them for a certain reason, and this girl ends up shifting for the very first time, and whenever she shifts, she ends up finding out that her true mate happens to be the alpha's son. And when the alpha's son finds us out, instead of accepting her and loving her for his true mate, he ends up rejecting her right on the spot. And obviously, this makes our girl very, very upset, and she just can't believe that this happened because what he did is unheard of. Whenever you get a true mate, you know that that is a once in a lifetime type of thing, and you absolutely love them and protect them until the end of your days, and he obviously does not do that. So she is left being very, very upset, and she ends up praying to this man known as the Shadow Beast, and he's basically like the shifters type of god who they pray to and ask for help, and she ends up asking for help from this man, from this shifter god, and she just asks him to get her out of this situation, and lo and behold, this man, this sexy Shadow Beast who is right here, as you can see, he ends up showing up and taking her from the situation, and he ends up taking her to his home. And it's here that things kind of take a Beauty and the Beast type of twist, and they end up, while they're living together, they do not like each other whatsoever, but there are things happening in the background, in the backstory, that are making it to where she has to stay there and they have to live in this place together. And I don't want to tell you because I don't want to give anything away, but basically they're living together and they do not like each other whatsoever, but over time the ice between them starts to thaw and a romance starts to bloom. And guys, the romance here is such a beautiful romance. I love this so much, and it's such a slow burn. So if you are somebody who you like them to get together right then and there, this is not the book for you because this book, the author made you freaking wait. You were like on the edge of your seat just begging for them to get together, but it does not happen. You have to actually wait for like the second book for things to really get hot and heavy, but guys, it is so worth the freaking wait because it is probably one of my favorite romances that I've ever freaking read of all freaking time. And now you may be wondering, what is it about this book, Cameron, that made you so freaking happy? Let me tell you, I'm happy you asked. So what made me so happy was just the freaking personality of our main character. She is probably the sassiest character I've ever read. Her inner dialogue that she has is so funny. I was just laughing out loud at the things that she would say and the things that she would think, and I loved the verbal exchanges that would go on between our two main characters because they hated each other, guys. I'm not even kidding. They absolutely despised one another, and every time they would talk, they would always have like jabs at each other, and they would always just try to be so mean, and it was so funny to hear them as they would just spar and go back and forth and just have their own little fights, and it was so much fun to read, and I freaking ate it up like it was freaking candy. So guys, if you want a slow burn, if you want a book that is just has the best, sassiest character ever, then check this book out. And guys, the male character in this book, he is just a freaking cold glass of water on a very, very hot day. He is amazing. I love him, but he's definitely somebody who I will tell you, you have to warm up to him, okay? Whenever I say he's a cold glass of water, he's also very, very icy at first, and you have to really hang in there to start to see the awesome aspects of him. But guys, once you make it to the end of this book and you start to see his personality, he's such a freaking swoon-worthy character. I absolutely love him, and I know you will love him too. So check this book out. It will give you the biggest smile ever. And yeah, that is Rejected by Jim and Eve. Okay guys, so the last book on my list is called The Deal by L. Kennedy. This follows a girl who's currently in college, and she ends up making a deal with this hockey player who is in the same class as her, and the deal is that he will help her try to make this guy like her by pretending to be her boyfriend so that they can try to make this guy that she likes jealous and just try to catch his attention. And in return, she will tutor him in this class that he needs to pass in order to be able to be eligible to play hockey at his college. It is here that our girl ends up grudgingly accepting this deal, and it's just so funny to watch them together because guys, the couple in this story, they do not have happy feelings with one another. They actually don't really like each other at all. They are just using each other to get what they want, but over time they start to slowly become friends, and they start to have feelings for each other, and then a relationship blooms. And guys, this book, hands down, is so freaking funny. It is a blast, and it just reminds me so much of like a rom-com. It reminds me a lot of The Wallbanger. So if you pick up The Wallbanger and you love that book, then please read this book because that is the closest book I could ever recommend to you. Like if you were a fan of Wallbanger, you will love this book because these two books, they have the same type of vibes and the same type of just overall feelings that you get whenever you're reading it. And I just loved these two main characters that were in this book because they were just such opposites, yet whenever they got together and just talked to one another, they just freaking worked. They were like two puzzle pieces that you would never think would come together, but they fit so well and so perfectly. And what I loved most about this was the banter that they had with one another. The verbal exchanges that they had were just over the top amazing. It was so funny, and what I loved the most was that they were truly like spending so long trying to deny the feelings that they had for one another. They did not want to accept it, and yet over time they could not stay away from one another. They freaking liked each other so much, and I just loved them so freaking much, guys. This book made me laugh so much. It brought me to tears with how much I was laughing. So guys, if you just want to read a book that just makes you happy, then definitely check that book out. It is so incredible. And yeah, so that is The Deal by L. Kennedy. So guys, we have made it to the end of this video. If you like this video, then please make sure to like and subscribe. I post new videos every week, and I would love to be able to have you join my little family on this side of BookTube. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. I love you all so much. Mwah. Bye, guys.